Welcome to the Writing Community Chat Show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to what perhaps may be the most unprepared show we've ever done. I don't think it's going to be that bad at all, actually. I think it's going to be a fantastic interview and a fantastic show. And it's Friday. Very happy this Friday, Chris Hooley. And I really wish that I wasn't doing dry January because I kind of feel like I need a drink today. How are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, well done for doing dry January up until this point, because you're halfway through, so well done. I am. And the fact it was birthday week this week, and that was fine. But Friday, different story. But we've got a great show, and a guest that's coming on, which we will talk about very soon. And of course, we start the show with a beer token promotion, so let's get into that. And again, this week is a bit of a twist, in a good way. So beer token book promotion this week is someone actually who we had on the show, not on the show, but who sponsored the show before, and who actually helps us out on his podcast. And that is Alan McGill. He is the author and narrator. He is author, narrator, and voice talent. Alan McGill created a podcast called A Cry in the Moon's Light, based on a book he wrote, which is an audiobook that we've spoken about before and we feature on our website. Composer and producer Joseph McDade scored the music for the show, and together they've released the music for the soundtrack for A Cry of the Moon's Light, so you can actually get that now. And it's a poetic prologue narrated by Alan, not found on the show. You can pick a copy of it up, A Cry in the Moon's Light soundtrack, on most streaming services. So please have a look at that, and it will be worth it. And it is a great podcast audio drama, so please check that out if you get the opportunity. And there is a link to it on our website too. And up in the top corner right now, you will see somewhere when I found it, the cover of the A Cry in the Moon's Light, which is a fantastic cover. It looks a modern take on Little Red Riding Hood. So please check that out. Yeah. That does look good. I've definitely seen that before.
You have. And it is on our website. And actually, I have listened to a couple of those episodes, and they're very good. So please do check that out. Hello to you all on the chat, and please engage. By the way, as always, please share the links, please, and say hello and drop us some questions. If you've got questions, drop them in as always. Happy Friday from Mario. Hello to you. Who else is on? Hello, Flythe. Am I saying that right? I say this every week and I have no idea. Flythe? Chris?
I'm not going to jump in on that one, mate, to be honest.
Hello, Vince. Bonsoir to you also. David Middleton's in the house. Hello, happy Friday indeed. So let's get the show started, and let's get our guest in, because I don't want to waste too much time with the first half of the show, because this is for the guest. And Chris, are we going to have no, do you know what? I got the name. I mess the name up I mess it up every week, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it right. Who knows?
If you get it wrong, she'll kill you.
So tonight's guest, CAROLYN HOBDEY. Hobday, she's put a thumbs up. Welcome to the show, CAROLYN. CAROLYN. I just said CAROLYN.
Hello.
How are you doing? It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Oh, it's fantastic. Are you happy it's Friday?
I am very happy it's Friday. I've had a bit of a Friday today. It's been really good, but it's been a bit of a roller coaster. But it's ended well, I have to say. But I'm due to be on the TV on Monday talking about my book.
Fantastic!
It's been a bit of a roller coaster today, getting all of that in place and all the forms signed and sealed. So
this is a great way for you to get out your system and get it in the right, get it right before you go on the real show.
No, this is not a dress rehearsal. This is just as
what show is
it? It's okay. We are used to dress rehearsals. How many times has this happened to us now, Chris?
We seem to be the springboard.
Yeah, you come on this show and then you'll be on the BBC. You'll be everywhere. Yeah, definitely.
So what show are you going on? Can we ask? Can we know?
Yeah, hopefully. So I think it's one of those things where it's never happening until it actually happens. So I'll believe it when I'm there, because if anything happens over the weekend that sideswipes it, then with everything that's going on in the world, like, it might happen. But I'm on Steph's Packed Lunch on Channel 4 on lunchtime on Monday.
Amazing.
Yeah, it goes out at 12:30, and they're saying I should be on about 12:45. So.
Well, nice. We very much swear on this show. Not always, but it happens. How are they going to deal with the title of your book on that show?
Yeah, we're not talking about the title of the book.
Which is going to be quite awkward when you're trying to promote a book you can't talk about the title of.
Yeah, they're not really wanting to talk about the book. They're talking about some of the content of the book, but they don't they don't really want to talk about the book. But having said that, I'm also, God, I feel like I'm sort of dropping all these in. I'm on BBC Radio York tomorrow morning and talking about the book, and I've done a little bit of radio already. And they tend to do All the Twits I Met Along the Way, so that seems to be the acceptable version of the title.
Fantastic.
Right. So see, I sorry, Chris. I was just going to say I love the title. Like, I was on net. I discovered the book. There we go. I discovered the book through NetGalley, and I was looking through all the books, and obviously it's like a big library on there of books that are due to come out. And I saw that, and I was like, that is a brilliant title for a book.
Thank you. It kind of came about a little bit by accident, really. I was really struggling with what I wanted to call the book. Couldn't nail that down at all. I'm sure that'd be familiar with lots of people that write. I just couldn't. It just didn't quite land. And my publisher and I were going over and over, different ideas and whatever. And he said, well, let's not stress about it too much at the moment. He said, all you really need is to make sure you've got your elevator pitch in terms of like, what is the book about in a nutshell. And I sort of did the whole here's a funny story. And I said, I'm already all right with that. I'm fine. I said, because I was chatting to a friend and they asked me what it was all about. And I said, it's just about all the twats I met along the way. And he just stopped on this Zoom call and he went, that's it. That's your title. I was like, really? I can go out with that title? He's like, yeah, amazing. I mean, let's do that. So in a nutshell, that's what the book is about. So.
It's a really great title. Everyone agrees. So before we jump into the story, where it's come from and all of that sort of stuff, can we try and find the inspiration behind your writing in the first place? There's obviously reasons why the story developed, but where did the thought of writing come from?
I've always loved writing. My first degree was in English literature. So I did quite a lot of writing at university, a little bit of short story stuff, some screenplays, poetry. So I've always loved writing. I love the written word. As much as I love to talk, I love to write probably even more. So I think that was kind of always there. I'm fascinated by the English language and the idiosyncrasies of it. So, I like to think I've got a reasonable vocabulary and I find the language just fascinating. So I kind of think it had always been there, really. And I have to say, the thing that really inspired me from an English point of view is like nobody in my family had been to university. They just weren't afforded that opportunity. And I think I was about 12 years old. I just started secondary school. And my English teacher said to me one day, you need to go to university and you need to study English. Because he obviously saw that I had a real flair for it. And it just lit a fire in me, to be honest, because I hadn't even, at 12, I hadn't really contemplated that far forward. But certainly, like I said, those opportunities hadn't existed sort of in my family previously. And suddenly I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to university and I'm going to study English. And that was it. That just set me on a path, which took me sort of right the way through into my late teens. And I mean, goodness only knows what my parents thought when I came home. I'm like, I'm going to university. But they were massively supportive, and it just developed from there, really.
You did spend quite a few years of your life in college as well, university, sorry, didn't you? And actually won a few awards during your time there as well.
I've gone in and out of education. I think education is a privilege, so I've been hugely fortunate to do a lot of study in my time. So latterly, my late 30s, I did a master's degree in lean operations. So, I won the inaugural award for logistics, manufacturing and operations at Cardiff University for lean, which is a bit of a divergence, I guess, from even from HR, let alone from writing and being an author. So yeah, and when I did my professional qualifications in HR, I won the CIPD's award in my region as well. So which makes me sound like an incredible girly twat, which I think is then completely, when people read the book, will realise that I've had a much more interesting life than just being a girly swat. It's been much more colourful than that.
So how do you go then from studying in academia and doing really well in that aspect, and then writing your memoirs? How did that sort of crossover come into play?
I think because I've had quite a colourful life, and probably for years I've had that thing with friends where they've like, oh, you ought to write a book, really. And you sort of think like, yeah, okay. Everybody's got a book in them. And it was only when my life like imploded spectacularly in July 2018, and life had been giving me lots of warnings, I think over a long period of time, that something needed to change, and I didn't heed those warnings. And in 2018 everything fell in. So I was pushed out of a job that I absolutely loved because of the bad behavior of somebody else, and it made my position from an HR point of view untenable. So I'd lost my job and was completely reeling from that because I'd worked really hard and I loved my team. And my partner of 3 years, just like, I think this was sort of like 7-10 days after, the job thing had happened, walked into the room one morning and just said, oh, by the way, when our house is sold, because our house was up for sale, when the house is sold, we're going our separate ways. This is over. You need to move out. This is gone. You'll never see the children again. That was the end of that. So I lost my job. I lost my home. I lost my relationship. I lost my step family, all in the space of less than a fortnight. And it kick-started a huge transformation in me, which, it took some time then before the book stuff started happening, because I didn't start writing the book until I think well into 2019, back in 2019, before the book came about. But that whole picking my life up, sorting out the pieces of my life, and it was a massive reset button on me as a person. And I started putting back in place all the things, all the sort of accepted tenets of success, because I had a very successful career, and I had the house and I had the car, or 2 cars on the drive and 3 holidays a year and all of that lovely stuff that I'm very grateful for. But I started putting all that back in place, and it was only once I'd put it all back in place, I realised I wasn't happy. And I set about then, I didn't leave corporate world until the end of March 2020. But I'd got a new job and I'd sort of put all those things back in place. But I then set about a plan of, I want to do something different with my life. And the book sort of came from that. And it came from the therapy that I went through, actually, from when it all imploded. I went to some therapy to sort of unpick what had happened and all the reasons why. And I had the most amazing therapist who was a very senior clinical psychologist. But when you have somebody like that, who you pretty much think has seen everything and been everywhere and witnessed everything and heard it all, who sat a couple of times open-mouthed my story, I think I then realised I had a story to tell.
Yeah.
It went from there.
So, sorry, Chris, I knew you were going to ask a question then, but I was just going to say, from a writer's perspective, what you've been able to do in your chapters, which have got brilliant titles, by the way, every single one of them. I love the fact that you've given them little titles. But you seem to have this natural ability to be able to capture something that's really potent that's happened in your life in not a very, like, if I was going to write about a significant moment in my life, I'd probably go on for a whole book, but you can do it in a chapter. And I was just wondering, from a writer's perspective, how you've managed to be able to do that.
I think it's probably a couple of things, really. I think I write how I speak. That's certainly how it sounds in my head. So I know my book won't be for everybody. I know my writing style won't be for everybody, but I've always said I'd rather be Marmite than vanilla. So I think that I write how I speak, and therefore, so that's how it comes out. And as you can tell, I like to talk. I talk quite quickly, so it kind of just comes out a bit like staccato, and that's sort of the writing style. I think on top of that, it really is just about, like you say, trying to capture that essence of it. And you know, I'd be lying if I said there weren't, you know, a number of edits and revisions, because there was initially quite a lot about my corporate life, because I've had a very interesting corporate career. There was a lot about my corporate life in this book to start with, which I've stripped out and is actually now going to be in book 3 because it's turned into a Twats trilogy. So, you know, so book 3 is going to be Twats at Work. So, you know, quite a lot of that will go in there. So it was about editing that down and really just trying to get to the essence of it. But more than anything, I wanted to convey the emotion of what had happened, you know, not just the description of it. So I think that was the most important thing that kind of kept me focused.
One of the, sorry, Chris, go
for it.
One of the things that strikes me, like through reading it, is just a brutal honesty. And when I say brutal honesty, I mean, like, I feel like partly that I'm reading somebody's diary in a certain aspect. So I just wondered, from a writer's perspective, why you chose to be that honest with the reader, and how you sort of like decided what needed to go in and what didn't.
Yeah. There, again, a number of things that sort of went through my head, I think, from that point of view. So I would be the first to say that, you know, I mean, not everybody in my book is a twat. I think it's probably important to say that people in my book. They're not just twats. I've met a lot of twats along the way, but then I've met some even more amazing people. I think it's fair to say that on a number of occasions in the book, I am the twat. And I think what I wanted to write, I didn't want to write a book that just made me look amazing and said all these terrible things happen. I made some stupid decisions, but part of the desire in the book is to say, we are all flawed. We are all human. And, you know, we make mistakes. And I think even more so now in the world where we're on Facebook and Instagram and we're all showing the best of ourselves and it all looks lovely and shiny. I don't know. I know some amazing people. I don't know a single one of them who has that shiny life. We all have one where we failed, we've fallen over, we've done something stupid. We've, you know, maybe done things that we would do differently if we were able to go back. And I wanted to show all of that. And also, I guess as well, one of the things that irritates me most in terms of, dare I say, you know, the press and the media and sort of our online world that we have is, you know, I mean, I would love to be successful with launching this book and for it to be a great success. One thing I didn't want is then somebody thinking, we'll find some skeletons in this cupboard. And I'm not saying that every last bit of my life is in this book, because there just wasn't room. You know, I've been on the planet for, you know, over 40 years. It's not possible for me to write all of that down. But I actually wanted something that went, yeah, okay, come on. If you want to find a skeleton, then come on. But if you know, I have been so brutally honest in this book about what has gone on and the highs and the lows of that. I kind of didn't really want to give people any space of anywhere left to go.
What I'd like to ask is, when you started about this conversation, you talked about the warning signs that you kind of knew were lingering in your life, but you kind of just didn't take heed to. Was that because it was something that you kind of thought may be there, but you just don't want to test the waters in case? Or is it just something that you were just so busy focused on other things in life that those signs just kind of were just a sort of niggling thing in the background?
A lot of it for me, for those that sort of dip into the book, or the underlying theme of the entire book is my complete lack of self-worth. So that started very young, and it's a theme throughout the book. So I didn't think that I was worthy of anything better or different, and that was the thing that was the massive issue. So the warning signs that came on. So because my own self-worth was so low, I allowed people who shouldn't have either been in my life or shouldn't have been in my life for as long as they were to stay around in my life and do incredible harm, because I was doing myself incredible emotional harm through that lack of self-worth. So really the warning signs were these people that were in my life who were, you know, not operating in my best interest, or sometimes, you know, not in every case, again, need to stress that, but in a number of cases were you know, quite harmful to me. And I just let those things happen. And that's what I mean by the warning signs, because I was going from one sort of poor relationship where I wasn't treated right, you know, sometimes in some instances treated really quite badly, and then thinking, well, that must have been my fault. I can't manage to hang on to anybody. I must be unlovable. It's all about me. It's all my fault. And then I'd moved to the next relationship where I was just massively grateful that anybody would be in a relationship with me. So I would let them get away with all sorts of stuff, you know, with me, to me, that they, you know, I shouldn't have allowed. And those are the warning signs that I just wasn't realizing that, you know, I can't absolve them of the things they did. You know, some people did some things that were really bad and wrong, but equally I have to take accountability for the fact that I allowed that to perpetuate. And that was the warning signs that I didn't heed.
Is it something that's now caused you to put sort of barriers up when you kind of meet people or try to gain that trust in a relationship now? Or have you sort of, when you spoke about therapy and those sort of barriers that you've overcome, does that help now, or is there still sort of that resistance there?
I would say for the most part, the resistance is gone. That's not to say that there aren't things sometimes that then would trigger it and you go, oh, but now I see it. I know where it comes from. It comes from that fear. And the decision that I've had to make, and I had this conversation with somebody a little while ago that said, the thing is that ultimately the person that I most needed to build trust in was me.
Yeah.
And the trust that I now have in me is that even if someone treats me badly, even if someone breaks my heart, I now know that I have trust in myself that I can get through it. And even if they do that, that doesn't mean because I'm bad or I'm wrong or I'm not good enough or whatever, I'm just not right for them, whether that's a friendship, a relationship, a working relationship, you know, whatever the type of relationship it is. But the trust I had to build was actually in me.
Yeah.
And therefore my trust doesn't come from other people. It comes from me trusting myself, me trusting my own judgment. And that was the hardest thing. It was learning to trust my judgment again, because my judgment had just clearly successively been really bad. So that's where the trust comes from. So like I said, I now have to have that trust that, okay, even if I put my trust in someone and it falls apart, I now have the tools and I know I have the strength that I can come out the other side.
I was going to say, this sounds bad, but I'm going to say one of my favorite characters in your book is your mum, because I sort of, it was like a love and hate sort of thing with your mum, because sometimes I was like, oh, mum, like, why are you saying that to her at this moment in time? And other times I was like, yeah, that's exactly what she needs to hear, sort of thing. So I suppose my question is, how did you go about writing that family dynamic that you have and getting that right? Because I should imagine from a writer's perspective, bringing out a book that you know your family are probably going to read, quite difficult task to get that right.
Yeah, and I just have to say they've not read it yet. On Monday, and they've not yet read it. So, and I know that they're going. I know that they're going to find that difficult. But again, I just tried to write it from the heart, you know, and it's and I wrote that in the acknowledgements, really, is that I kind of hope that they accept that I just had to go out and in the end I had to do it my way, because so much of what we do is that, you know, whether we acknowledge it or we don't, we please our parents. You know, people that turn into people pleasers start off as parent pleasers. And I love my parents, and they are absolutely amazing, and I have huge amounts of respect for them. And I know that I spent my life trying to make them proud of me. And that turned into then sort of trying to people please with other people. So I just tried to write it, like I said, from the heart and honestly. And again, you know, I don't blame my parents in for any way that they've raised me or anything that they said. I mean, Christ, there is no rule book, is there? There's no rule book for being a parent. There is no rule book for life. You know, that's the other thing. We are all just trying to muddle our way through and do the best that we can in any aspect of life. So, you know, sometimes they said the right things and sometimes they didn't say the right things. But, you know, that's all any of us do, isn't it?
Yeah. And from that then, like, what was your elevator pitch because you've had this amazing life and you've put it into a book, but what was your elevator pitch that you went to your publisher with, and what people are listening and watching the show right now, if they were given like a sort of tagline of what this book is essentially about, how would you sell that to them?
I think the book is for anyone that understands that being an adult is a bit of a messy business. Anyone that's ever failed, anyone that's ever fallen over and made a mistake, I think that this book is for them. And I guess, as I say in the front, it's also for anybody that finds the word twats quite funny. But yeah, just for anybody that's had a relationship, who's had a broken heart, who's messed up, who's fallen over, you know, it's just all of that. It's just about the human condition.
There's a lot of people that will relate to that, and Mario on the chat is someone who's written you know, about his troubles in his life, and you know, use that as to help people, and that's something you very much do. And you've come through hard times in your life, and you now focus on trying to shine light in other people's lives, and you know, trying to help others in that sort of situation, which comes on to your next book that will be coming out, which is called how to
your life.
De-twat your life, which I loved, and I can't believe I couldn't get that out of my mouth then. So De-twat your life, which I instantly love the cover of. It makes absolute sense as to what it is. So how is there sort of the relationships that you've worked with to try and better and shine light on? How is the feedback for that, and how much was there a calling for you to make this book?
I think, you know, De-twat your life is then so my so book one, All the Twats, ends at sort of when life imploded, so sort of the middle of 2018 is when that finishes. And De-twat your life is then all about the journey out, because it wasn't just sort of, you know, some massive revelation and then have a bit of therapy and then, you know, we're all fine and off we go. It was about that constant process of understanding. In that process of picking myself up, I had some trials and I had some triumphs in that process. And what developed out of that was something called the Fathom Framework, which is my 9-step process of basically how to get a happy life. And it's all about the steps that you need to take. And it's about the fact that I learned those steps over that period of time, sometimes through failing, sometimes through succeeding, sometimes again through some funny stories of things that I did that were like, oh my God, you idiot. But it's just stuff that I learned, things that I drew on from like my work life, things I drew up from my personal life, and suddenly sort of was able to step back and look at it and go, there's kind of a process to follow here of understanding what you really want in your life, what really matters to you, and how you go about sort of putting that in place and starting to make that happen. So that's what the Fathom Framework is. And it's those 9 steps of leading you to a happy life. And it's very much around, so I live a life without regret, because I think regret is a wasted emotion. We can't go back and change anything. We can apologize where we need to if we've upset or we've hurt somebody, but we can't go back and change it. All we can do is take what we've learned and then use that for the good to move forward and be better tomorrow than we were today. And therefore it's pointless having regrets, because it's just one of those emotions that like eats you up and doesn't do anything for you other than bring you down. So very much my process is about, we need to live a life that's free from regret. We need to get to the end of our life, whenever that happens to us, and know that we've done it and not got any regrets about sort of what we've done, how we've behaved, but the life we've had. Because nobody has written on their headstone they had lots of money in the bank and loads of stuff. They got written on their headstone, you know, they were this person, and they, you know, and they were a parent or a sibling or whatever it was to somebody. You know, and that's the bit we need to make sure that, you know, when somebody reads out that eulogy at the end of our life, that it's saying the things we want it to say, and we can take control of that right now by being that person, not just leaving it to chance and hope that somebody will say something nice about us.
Fantastic.
I was going to say, one of my questions was, if you could go back, one. Let me rephrase that. I'm going to rewind and go back to the beginning. But there's a bit towards the beginning of the novel, and this won't really give a great deal away. But when a younger version of yourself was struggling after they had made this commitment to their boyfriend at the time, and you'd gone through certain things with that partner, and then you were struggling with how, after a certain event, you were struggling with how that sort of self-worth that you were talking about before kicking in. So I'm just wondering, if you could go back in time and you could give that younger version of yourself a letter, what would it say, and how would you sort of phrase that to that person?
I would say trust what your instincts are telling you. So the incident that you're talking about, like you say, without giving anything away, I think the biggest thing that I struggled with after that was believing that it happened. I couldn't sort of, I had that thing that it's like, am I over dramatizing that? Am I over exaggerating? Did that really happen? And the thing that I would say to my younger self, and I would say to anybody actually, there are other things that happened in my life and in the book where I think we default to that kind of like, well, I like other people go through really tough stuff, and I that can't have been that bad. So don't make excuses for it, I think would be my advice. If it doesn't feel right, whether that's words or it's behavior from somebody else, most of us fundamentally know in our heart of hearts what's right and what's wrong, what's acceptable and what's not. And if it doesn't feel like it was right, then believe yourself that it wasn't right. I think that's the first thing. And the other thing I'd say is you need to go and share that with somebody. We just need to be able to sort of share that with somebody else and trust yourself to do that, and believe that somebody will believe you. Because my experience is that with all of the tough stuff I've been through, when you actually start talking to people, they might not have been through exactly the same experience, but instantly you can find those connections all over the place of people that everybody's, like I said, everybody's got a story, everybody's been through good times and bad, nobody has a entirely great life. And if you talk to people, you will find that connection and people will believe you.
One of the big things of dealing with stress and sort of mental health, and trying to be positive and find the light, is sort of finding an outlet. And on your website, there's a few stated that, and I really like the sort of variant of these things. So it states that you're into boxing, weightlifting, singing in a choir, learning Latin, ballroom dancing, and a car enthusiast. I am,
So I do all of those things. So I Latin and ballroom dance. So I do that once a week. And I can't sound very good at it. If I talked less and laughed less, I'd be a much better dancer. But I have the most fabulous dance teacher. We have an amazing time. It's part of keeping me fit. And the thing is my boxing and dancing are actually very closely connected. That's the thing I would say. So because they both involve footwork, they both involve technique, they both involve hand-eye coordination as well as the footwork. So there's actually a lot of similarities between the two. So I've been dancing for much longer than I've been boxing, but I think that's the reason why when I first came across boxing, it really clicked, because it's like, oh, okay. I can't say the dancing necessarily massively helped me with it, but it's the same principles, and the reason that I love dancing is the same sort of reason I love boxing. And that reason is that when I'm doing those things, I can't think about anything else. So I think it's I think that's the best bit about it. It switches my mind off. So when I've had a really busy day, and certainly when I had, was in corporate world and things are very stressful and whatever, I would go dancing, I would go boxing, and I would just switch off. So that for that hour that I was doing that, you can't think about anything else. And I particularly know that when I dance, because when I've turned up and I've had a stressful day, my dance partner then goes, so you're leading today, because clearly I go in with a bit of that attitude instead of him leading me. So I that's the thing. It's just a great switch off. But aside from that, I mean, at the moment because of COVID we can't, but yes, I sing in a choir. I've sung for many years, and that's amazing. And again, it's that same, the endorphins you get from singing actually are really surprising. It's a real good feel good thing. And then I love my cars. You'll note my Defender, my Land Rover Defender, which I'm passionate about, appears on my website. And when I was doing a photo shoot, I was like, I'm bringing my Defender. It's better looking than I am. Take photos of that.
That's amazing. Mario is one of our regulars on the show, and he is an all schoolgirl choir. What's the conductor? Is that the word?
Yeah.
Anyway, he's asked, what part do you sing in the choir?
I'm an alto.
That means nothing to me, but Mario, I'm sure that means something to you.
That answers your question. So then for the uninitiated, so kind of soprano is the top, is the really high notes that you get. Alto is like the next one down from that.
Okay.
Interesting.
So, I mean, there are more variants, but there's soprano is the top, alto is next, tenor is next, which is normally your guys with the higher voices, and then bass is your guys with the lower voices. I mean, there are more parts you can have, but that's the broad brush.
Nice. And you said second part through, what kind of music do you sing?
It's very, very varied. I'm in the choir that I'm in is it started off kind of as a rock choir, so it's really, honestly, it's anything from sort of classical stuff, but we go right the way through to like Bat Out of Hell, we do contemporary stuff. So we would do.
Can you give us a taste of Bat Out of Hell?
No. The thing is that anybody that knows anything about music will certainly know that when you sing the alto part, you hardly ever get the tune. So it's actually, singing alto is quite hard because sopranos often get the tune. So particularly if you're singing well-known stuff, you give the music to the sopranos and they're like, well, yeah, you're away, because they're all sort of singing the tune. With alto, you're singing something different to the tune to create the harmony. So yeah, normally if you sing the alto part just by itself with nobody else, it just sounds nothing like the song itself. So no, I won't be singing anything to that.
Brilliant. Well, we have a few writing community chat show questions that are staple questions to the show, but I'm going to change them slightly for you because we normally speak to fictional. No, we normally speak to writers of fiction, whereas obviously yours is based on real life. So my question that I'm going to change to you is if you could take anybody else's life and live in their shoes for a bit, who would that be and why?
Goodness. That's really interesting, isn't it? Because like there's so, to be honest, there's so many things that pop into my head when you say that. You think, oh, like whatever. Do you know what? Right now, I have to say, if I could just live a day maybe in somebody else's shoes, I'd like to live in Donald Trump's shoes.
Really?
I would just like to see, or I would like to peek behind the curtain and just see what that's like.
Yeah.
Because
it is
at the moment, like, right, I mean, in any time during his presidency, I think it would have been fascinating. Particularly at the moment, I just want to have that opportunity to peek behind the curtain and see, there's all the stuff, it's been blocked off Twitter and all the rest of it. I'd really just like to see what's going on in the background, wouldn't you?
Do you know what? I instantly thought, oh, no way. But then you're right, because it is such a mystery of a character that does anyone really know if that persona is actually real behind the curtain? And no one knows. I don't know. So that's a great answer.
Yeah, and also I just want to see what happens with his hair every morning. Is there somebody that comes and makes that happen every day? I don't know. But yeah, just because the access of stuff that he's got, the view of the world that he currently is sort of privileged to because of his position. I don't know. I think it would be great just to see what that was like.
So it's a great question, Chris. And if you're on the chat, drop us who would you be? And Chris, have you got an answer for that?
Well, I've got a very small baby at the minute, so a single bachelor would be great. Yeah. I don't care who it is. There's someone who gets sleep.
Yeah, just a baby would be nice.
I'd say I've been seeing this guy who plays Superman. I can't remember his name now. Very English accent. Yes, he on Instagram is very funny. He's got a great accent. I think I'd just be in for a date because why not? He's got a body in that. He's got a body. Well, I'm helping the rumors go down well. So we're going to move on to the next part of the show, and it's a few more random questions from the community. So it's a bit more lighter, a bit more randomer, I'd say, and there's a few features coming up. So, and it is the Friday show, which means that you and Chris Hooley will be battling to guess the year, which he forgets every week, of the book release. So we'll see. So what we got first? Writing community question time, and I won't forget this week, but there's a video. So what we have is only a couple of questions in from the community about what we've talked about so far. There's not too many, but if you have more, guys, send them in. We've had what do we sing about in a choir. I'm trying to work out Carolyn's accent. Sorry. Where is she from?
So yes, it's a really good question, Vince. So I'm originally from Herefordshire, so you'll probably hear a little bit of a twang of that. I've moved around the country a lot, so it's all over. I currently live in Yorkshire, so I don't think I say Yorkshire-isms. I don't think I necessarily have a Yorkshire accent, but probably a bit of southwest is probably what you can hear.
Have you got a favourite Yorkshireism?
Oh gosh, I'm not sure if I do actually. I'm not sure. I sort of smash them in without realizing it, and then it's other people that like look at me, like particularly family, because my family are all still down south. They're like, "What?" I do like the whole like barm cake thing, because and a pack up. I didn't know what a pack up was when somebody first said that to me when I came to Yorkshire. Yeah, but I know it as a pack lunch.
Okay. I didn't know what that was.
No, a pack up, and I was like, what? And a barm cake is like a bread roll. But I didn't know that. So those are probably a couple of my favourites, because not least because if I then use them, it completely fox people down south.
It foxes people, especially. We have a lot of American viewers and listeners, so it does fox them. So like even the word barm or bap is so universal in Britain. It changes in multiple times. Chris, what do you call it?
Muffin. Muffin is one of muffin is one of them.
No.
Yeah, chip muffin.
Oh.
In Wales, a butty is a thing.
Yeah, butty in Wales, because I grew up on the border of South Wales. Like.
Yeah. So chip butty, bap.
Yeah.
That can mean cake. Yeah. So there's a lot of them. Interesting question. So questions. Best character on Bridgerton. I don't know what that is.
Oh, Bridgerton was on Netflix. It was a series just recently. It's actually a really fascinating series based on a series of books, as I understand it. So, which are great. My favourite character. I mean, it's really easy to say that it was the Duke, because like he was really hot. So it's really easy to say that. But probably Eloise, who was one of the main character's sisters, because she was a little bit off the wall, and she was the one who was really like trying to say that she didn't want to be. So it was set in Georgian times, I think it was, but she didn't want to be put down that sort of avenue of the only way forward for a woman is to find a man. She wanted a life different from that, and actually I think she was quite interested in kind of writing and books and stuff. So she's probably a little bit of a kindred spirit.
So here's a question: Netflix are massively into grabbing great books and turning them into series. So Netflix grab your book, and they turn it into a little mini series. Who would play you at various different parts of your life?
I'm not sure about various different parts, but you won't be surprised to know that me and my friends have had this conversation. I have one group of friends in particular who were like, who will play us in the movie of your life? Which is great. So we have fun doing that. Certainly, it's probably the me that's now. Again, it was my dance partner again that came up with this, because he said partly because of your smile and partly because of your laugh. We said Julia Roberts, which would be hugely flattering. But I think the red hair. But yeah, I've got a very loud laugh. So we thought Julia Roberts might be good for that. Somebody mentioned Anne Hathaway, maybe for the slightly younger me, because I do have a complexion that looks a little bit like Casper the Friendly Ghost, so that kind of Edith Rose type thing might be. So those would probably be my main thing.
Nice.
Anne Hathaway's a good shout.
Massively flattering to myself, I know, but hey, it's a movie of our life. Why wouldn't you have somebody better looking than you playing you?
I was thinking Emma Stone when I read the book. I was thinking Emma Stone would work really nicely, especially up until like a certain point. I thought, yeah, she would definitely be a good shout.
Yeah, and she's very beautiful, so that would be lovely, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Are you into TV films, series or films?
I'm really rubbish. I have to say, in fact, it's embarrassing in terms of the amount of films I've never seen. So my friend, it is a bit of a standing joke in my friends where they start talking about a film and then they look at me and they go like, you just won't know. I don't know what went on in I had a really great childhood, but I seem to sort of missed, like I don't know, we just didn't sit around and watch films. Whereas now, like my sister with her kids, they watch loads of films. My parents go to the cinema a lot, when you could, but I'm not great with films. I do watch some series, but for me, I'm a massive like Big Bang Theory. And so I tend to watch stuff like that because usually I don't watch an awful lot of telly, I have to say, because I'm usually I've got loads going on, and I don't sit. I don't relax very easily, so sitting in front of the telly is a bit of a not a thing for me. But so I kind of, if I watch something, I watch it maybe whilst I'm having a bit of food or whatever. So I just want something that's quite easy.
Yeah.
So a bit of Big Bang Theory, I have to say. I like a bit of retro in terms of a bit of Friends. So it's just stuff that is easy to watch.
Was it a lot of reading when you were younger then?
I did read quite a lot. My mum was massively into reading. My mum's has a very sort of voracious appetite for reading, and always is one book after another. So I think I got a little bit of that. We used to go to the library together. It's one of my really strong childhood memories of being very small and going to our town library, and they had a lovely sort of children's section, and she would just sort of pop me in there. Let's bear in mind this is sort of back in the late 1970s, so you could leave your child somewhere back then. It wasn't neglect. These days, like, don't leave them anywhere. But she sort of popped me in the children's section for a little bit, go off and choose some books for herself, and then come back and help me choose. So that was a real sort of ritual when I was little. So yeah, quite a lot of reading.
So what was it like for your mum then, as someone who was well into books, when she found out you were writing one?
I think she just thought I was mad. So yeah, I think they've sort of gradually got on board with it. I think she's quite fascinated now, and she does, in fairness, get quite excited now in terms of when I'm like, I'm going to be interviewed here, or I'm going to be on that. Not least when I was interviewed by the Yorkshire Times, and when I Googled about the Yorkshire Times to tell them about it, it actually turned out that the person that they'd interviewed before me, the last person they'd interviewed, was Shakin' Stevens. So we were very excited that I said, did you ever think that you would hear the words like CAROLYN HOBDEY and Shakin' Stevens in the same sentence? Well, now you do, because we've both been interviewed by the Yorkshire Times.
Yeah.
So they've been quite excited about the book. So
in reference to our conversation about bats and all of those things, Mario says, I have no idea what they're saying. And Anya says, indeed, they have no idea. And then David saved us and said, a bread roll, Mario. So he's got
the idea of your mum being really enthusiastic about your book and being in the local libraries and telling her friends about this book, and then just going, well, what's it called? And she's going, well.
Yeah, there is. I have to have a lot of sympathy for my parents, because my mum's on Facebook. In fact, my mum was on Facebook before I was, because I resisted it for a very, very long time. And I have to say, like, I post stuff about my book, and particularly when it sort of shows the title, whatever, and it is notable, and I say this without an ounce of criticism, it is notable that my mum doesn't like those pictures, versus if I go out for a walk or I have some food and I take a picture, she always likes all my pictures and comments, but the ones with the twat thing, she's kind of not looking to on her social media account, which is fair enough.
That's brilliant.
It's a great tag for someone like me, because every time you said the word twat, I've smiled, and I don't know what it is. I just can't help it. What was I say? Okay, one more question. Mario's asked, when you can travel again, where would you like to go first?
That's a really good question. I'm going to do a double answer for this one. First and foremost, last year, for my sister's 50th, my sister and I and my niece and nephew were all going on our third trip to Disneyland in Orlando,
Nice.
Universal and Disney, and obviously it all had to be cancelled. We were going for my sister's 50th in a big 3-week extravaganza. So I definitely want to do that, not least because obviously the kids were gutted that we couldn't. So that would be sort of one of the things on my list. Having said that, I actually think that some of what lockdown and the pandemic and coronavirus have done, I think it's made us look really long and hard at our own country. So actually, I think I want to go and explore the UK, because I think particularly last summer, when we were lucky that the weather was lovely, and which it isn't always in the UK, obviously, but it was lovely. And some of the pictures that were appearing, online and stuff, of people just enjoying something really local to where they lived, I think really reminds us that we live in the most beautiful country, and sometimes our need to just get on a plane and escape to somewhere, which I get because it's warmer, but actually I would really like to explore more of the UK.
It's a great place. I'd love to go to Orlando, and I'm someone who's not very well traveled. So I grew up visiting, down in Cornwall, down south, or West Wales, and camping in
you know, those memories are some of the best I've got. So I agree, and I would still happily go somewhere like St. Ives in Cornwall, or you know, somewhere like that, than hop on a plane and deal with all the stress of that, you know. So you know, I'm all up for visiting where we live, because it is wonderful, and even though it's not the best weather, it's still great. So, you know, why not? So one more. Anya says, that's autumn. Beauty surrounds us. It does indeed.
Yeah.
What's Carolyn's daily routine for writing?
Oh goodness. So I mean, a lot of my daily routine is about getting up. So so in the morning I complete a gratitude journal every day. So I complete it in the morning for the day before. And write about what I was grateful for, and finding all those little chinks of light, particularly at the moment in what feels like perpetual darkness. So I write a gratitude journal, and I meditate for about 10 minutes every morning, so that kind of sets me up nicely for the day. A lot of mornings I do end up going boxing or weight training. I am very lucky. I have a fantastic personal trainer that trains me, and even in this current lockdown, because you can train in an outdoors environment. It's not necessarily outdoors, so we are undercover, but outdoors. We have managed to do a little bit of training even in this lockdown, so that would be part of my morning routine. And then just in terms of the writing, really, it's like a lot of people, it's kind of headphones on, and I'll be really honest, I play quite often like the same sort of 5 or 6 tunes, because I know that I know them, and therefore they don't distract me from the writing, but they help me get in the zone. So I listen a lot to Freya Ridings, huge fan of Freya Ridings music, and I find it really easy to listen to and to write to. So it's kind of like headphones on, head down, and probably my biggest thing is I tend to then sort of skip food and other things, and I sometimes have to remind myself that maybe I need to eat. So yeah, headphones on, head down.
I'm very, very similar, and we talked about it before with the music, and a lot of people have different preferences, but I'm very much like you. I listen to the same playlist over and over, but recently discovered that Rain and Thunder, you know, the playlist like that is fantastic for me. I don't know why, but I found that, and it's wicked. But I love the idea of a gratitude journal, and meditating and boxing. I think that morning routine would be wonderful in my life.
Yeah, and I do the thunderstorm and stuff at night, so I do that. So I use the Headspace app for my meditation, and they have nighttime sounds as well. And of the number of you can pick, there's a number of different rain sounds. Yeah, I use that.
Sounds very interesting.
So what would your advice be to someone who's looking to meditate for maybe the first time? Because I've seen Mad Men, and the whole thing leads up to Don Draper meditating on a hill towards the end. And I just thought, that looks like a brilliant state of just like calm, peace of mind. Like, how do I attain that? So that would be my question. How would someone who's a novice like myself capture the essence of meditating?
Yeah, meditating is really hard. I will say that. Like, it does take practice, but at the end of the day, there's kind of no right or wrong. I think that's the thing. And also, you meditate usually by yourself, so it doesn't really matter. There's nobody watching. For me, it would be use an app. So I happen to find Headspace fantastic. You know, there's all different ones to choose from. There's like series you can do, and they start right from the basics. So they start absolutely at the basics, and then like there's a whole course of basics, so each course is like 10 sessions, and so it just walks you through it, and you gradually learn it, and so gradually the prompts become less, and the time you're just doing it by yourself becomes more, but that's really gradual. So I would say use an app, use somebody else's expertise, and it doesn't matter if we get it right or get it wrong. Some days I do it and I'm really in the zone. Other days it's like I was talking about my shopping list, and I just somewhere absolutely, and you think, oh my god, I think I did that 10 minutes, but I don't know. It doesn't matter, just try it.
Well, here you go, Chris. Anya says, I love the calm meditation channel on Pandora. I use it to write a lot, so maybe check that out. I'm not sure if that's a British channel.
Pandora in Britain is like expensive jewelry that stays in a drawer.
Stays in a drawer. Love it. Okay,
it's like I spent hundreds and probably thousands of pounds on my girlfriend on Pandora, and they're just in a drawer.
It got to a point where all people are walking around like that because there's so many little bangles on there.
So many charms on a thing. Yeah.
Okay, let's jump onto this quickly because we're pushing time. So very quickly, let's get the new writing community member. Let's get it on. Sorry about the heavy music there, but it's kind of a fan favorite now, so we've got to keep it. Basically, what this is, every week, twice a week on the show, that we pick someone from the writing community that has quite a low following, and we kind of support them by giving them a bit of a lift, I guess. What we do is we get the guests, so that's you, to pick a GIF that we'll send them on Twitter.
Oh,
so this can be any subject, any GIF that you like. We've had... oh my goodness, dry shampoo. We've had dragons. We've had, I couldn't even tell you. I've forgotten most of them. But anything you like at all. So if you've got a GIF we can send, let us know. What do you want to send them?
What do I want to send them?
Yeah, what do you want to send them?
So we send them a gift. So like,
did I not explain that really badly? Did I? Sorry.
Like, I'm just trying to think. I'm thinking like, do you know? So you want my favorite GIF?
Favorite? Or a random one? Is completely up to you.
My favorite GIF, I have to say, is the minion ones where they're all cheering.
Okay.
Like there's a row of minions and they're like cheering. That's my favorite. We're like when anything good happens, like it's like one of those ones. Like the minions always make you smile, and it's the one where they're like, they're like massively cheering in the front row. It's a GIF of that. That is my favorite one. I have to say.
So that's kind of GIF or Minions GIF, and the member that we're trying to lift is Jack Oswald at Jack Oswald 14. He is an author, painter, poet, dad, and brand specialist. I can't remember how many followers. I think it's a couple of hundred. So please send him a GIF of a minion. Say love the WCCS or whatever you want to say with it. Trying to freak you out too much, and hopefully
Jack Oswald.
Jack Oswald 14. Little Jack, capital Oswald. I can't really see that. Yeah, why not? Does it say author, painter, poet, dad, and brand specialist?
It does, yeah.
Well, there you go. There you go.
So we're sending in minions.
Yes, please. And
the minions are happy. Send in minions.
Send them minions. And also, follow Carolyn as well. We put that up on the screen earlier. Someone asked what her Twitter was.
Yeah, do follow me at CAROLYN HOBDEY.
That's it.
Carolyn, have you had much interaction with the writing community? Because like myself and Chris have both obviously come from the writing community and got involved with them as a result of like being on Twitter, and it's such a supportive group of people. It's just amazing. Yeah,
and you do need that, because I think it is one of those things that can feel very isolating. You know, there's a number of times where I've sat with my book and thinking, will anyone ever read this? So yeah, I think any support that we can give to each other, I think, is incredible.
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay, so what we're going to do just before we finish up with the Guess the Year thingy majiggy, we've got a brand new feature which may or may not go down well. We'll see. We will see. But this is basically a little 5-minute discussion about a random topic that's happening in entertainment at the moment. We've got a choice of 4, so we can either randomize the choice or we can pick one, I guess. But just see that with that choice. Yes. So people have just said they're following you on Twitter. That's great news.
Lovely. Thank you.
So that's new video, Chris. New video without your approval, as always.
There we go.
Here we go. Let's check it out.
Are we Fox News now? What's going on?
Do you enjoy that? Was that all right?
Yeah.
I feel disappointed every time I do this to you, Chris. You never seem happy with anything.
It seemed very serious, that though. Like News to Muse with the thumbs up. Yeah.
Okay, so let's have a little look at the topics, shall we? What we have is website seeks professional binge watcher to watch Netflix and eat pizza.
Nice.
We have straight actors should not play gay actors. Quite controversial. Celebs go shacking. Or Gwyneth Paltrow says she is uncomfortable with her fame.
Wow.
Is there a specific one, Carolyn, you want to speak about, or should we shuffle it?
I don't. There's probably one of them I might not have much to say about, but I don't mind. Shuffle it. It's fine.
Shuffle. Okay, so I'll press this 3 times, and whenever it finishes on, we'll pick that. 1, 2, 3. I think it was the last one. That one. Okay, so celebs go shacking.
That's out of that one quick.
Well, hang on. I don't know. Do you want to do that one or that one?
I don't. What's shacking?
Right, okay, let's go with shacking because it was actually on that one. So it was. Okay, so shacking. Let's find shacking. Okay. No, that's not that. So this year, producers of Celebs Go Dating, which is like a reality TV program, have allowed contestants some private time away from prying eyes. They're filming a £30 million mansion on an estate in Surrey, and the program's bosses are allowing contestants to skulk away to a cottage in the grounds of the estate to make a connection with their prospective love interests. So, again, a question for all of us is, if you were put into this TV show, would you feel comfortable enough to go along with these things? And do you think celebrities attend such programs purely knowing that this sort of stuff happens and are doing it for exposure for their sort of celebrity life? Interesting. So, first of all, would you, if you were if your book was to become, a bit of a hit and they wanted you on this program, A, would you go on it? And B, would you ever consider the Love Shack?
I don't know if I'd go on that one. If I was to be I have to be really honest. I do understand that. I've got a book with the word "twats" in the title, so it is going to take a really special kind of brave guy to want to date me in the first place. It has to be said. So, it's possible that I might need to end up on one of these shows, but would I go on it? No. There's probably other ones that I might give a try, but the kind of go dating, shack up together, probably not. Would I go to the Love Shack? Oh God, like my mum would be mortified, wouldn't she?
Yeah. I wasn't really thinking about the fact that your mum would be watching, but the fact that these people are going on the show knowingly and have, they don't know these people they're with clearly, and they're just going to use. I don't know. I just think it's perhaps, from my opinion, is that it's quite a shallow kind of show.
It definitely, that's the thing. Don't get, it makes good telly, but then sometimes I do think with some of these things that we've seen, like we've seen on some of these programs, without putting a downer on it, but it does kind of damage like these people quite a bit, doesn't it? Psychologically, can lead to a bit of harm, if I'm honest. So I think we have to be more careful about what kind of situations we put them into.
What are your thoughts, Chris?
Well, we've had a few celebrities on this show in terms of like Dom Jolly and Noel Clark and people along those lines. And already with the Celebrity Love Shack, I'm thinking Callum Best is definitely in there.
Yeah.
Dom Jolly, if you put him in the Celebrity Love Shack, he's just going to make love to his wine. Like, let's be honest. And so
he likes a wine.
Yeah, it depends on the caliber of celebrity that you've got in there. Yeah. To be honest, who's in it? Do you know who's in this? Like,
oh no.
And what I do find strange is like, why are they not filming the shack bit? Because the shack bit surely is the most interesting bit of the show.
Well, yeah, I guess that's why people kind of watch the Big Brother thing. I'm interested, Carolyn. What you said you wouldn't be the one you go on, but what would be the one you would go on?
The thing is, that's the trouble. Like, I only have a kitchen because it came with my house, so that I definitely wouldn't be on like Celebrity MasterChef, Celebrity Bake Off. I can make a salad.
Dancing on Ice, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Strictly would be the one I'd really, really, really want to do. Strictly would be my absolute dream to do that, because to get really good at that, I would just love it. The costumes and everything, just love it. Dancing on Ice frightens me. I can't enjoy the dance because I'm so frightened of them falling over and hurting themselves. So I find it a bit stressful. I absolutely love I'm a Celebrity, but I would not go on that program. I know everyone that goes on it says, "Oh my God, it's life-changing and everybody needs to do it." And no, not a chance. I might use words,
I'm just loving the fact that Phil and Holly would announce you on strict. Oh no, they're on Dancing on Ice, aren't they? But I'm just thinking Strictly, like just to announce you on Strictly would be hilarious.
Yeah, author of All
It
the
was
Twats.
Carolyn, the author of All the
All the Twats I Met Along the Way.
And we can't say the next bit because it's the BBC.
Yeah.
Well,
That's the BBC wouldn't have me on, would they? They wouldn't have me on full stop because I would just be probably seen as not, unpleasant.
you're into your fitness a bit. So what about like SAS Who Dares Wins?
I love that program. I do as well. Admiration for those people. I have huge admiration for people that do it. It's it's amazing. Although I did once, because me and my best friend have a bit of a thing about if you go on a train trying to chat to the person next to you and find out stuff about them. And so I managed to sit next to a guy on a train once who was ex-SAS, and we got chatting, and he did say to me, like, what they show on that program, it ain't really like that. And I was a bit gutted to say, but I do love it. Could I go on there? No, I think my trouble is that I take ages to get ready in the morning, so I'd have to be the one that I'd have to be lying in that bed in my full ready to go, because when they come along and go, get outside now, you've got 5 minutes, I'd be like, I need to have a shower, like I need to shave my legs, like what? No.
Well, you said it wasn't much like it, but that's like a 9-day thing, when in reality it's months and months and months of training. So it's clearly not very similar. Mario says he loves Bake Off. I
do love it.
About the Love Shack, Dave Middleham says, my choice would be based entirely on the catering. It's fair enough. It's fair enough. You got a week. Yeah. So let's move on to Guess the Year then. And this is the little game that we finish off with. That only happens on a Friday show. But what happens is we list off 10 books and the authors.
Right.
And you both have a guess at the year. And the closest one to that year at that book, I will give a point to. And whoever ends up with the most points at the end wins.
I'll be hopeless, I'm telling you now.
Okay. I haven't even got my pen ready. This is terrible. Oh, I've got it. It's all right. So the first book. Oh, it's not really a pen. Yes, it is. The first book is, I guess the year. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Do we have a guess from either of you?
2018.
Okay.
Oh, you see, I was going to go like sort of like proper ancient in terms of, it sounds like a.
It might be. It's up to you.
Yeah. So yeah, I was I was going to go completely the other end of the spectrum. I was going to go sort of like 1850.
Okay, we have 1 point to Mr. Hooley. Keep an eye on. Just keep an eye, because you remember where he was, and we can narrow it down between the 1980s and the 2020s, right? Okay, so next book, Uncommon Type by Tom Hanks.
Ooh.
Tom Hanks wrote a book. Wow.
Apparently so, yeah. Oscar-winning Tom Hanks wrote a book, but no one heard of.
I'm going to say 2007.
Okay.
I'm going to say 2017.
Okay. We have another point to Mr. Hooley. This you did well last week as well, Chris. I think you're getting better at this. Okay, we've got a couple of answers on the chat there. Okay, The Hate You Gave by Angie Thomas.
Oh, The Hate You Give.
Oh, Give. I can't even read. Hey, this is good.
Have you heard of this one, Chris?
Yeah, they teach it in schools. 2016.
You're just working your way down the list, aren't you?
I've no idea. I'm going to say I thought 2018.
So we have another point to Christopher Hooley.
Yes.
Christopher Hooley. So you're getting there. Okay, They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera.
I love the title. Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm pretty sure I've read this book.
I do love that title. I think that's a fantastic title.
That's really good.
Because I instantly want to read that, because I don't believe him.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, do they really?
If I remember rightly, it starts at the end.
But how disappointing would it be if you read it and they actually both died at the end? I'd be like, well, I would feel disappointed by that.
You were told from the very beginning.
I know, but I wouldn't expect it.
2015.
Okay.
Oh, I was going to say 2015. I'll say 2014 then.
Okay, remember the dates now. Mr. Hooley has another point. Yeah. Come on, you can't have a whitewash here.
I don't know anything.
Mythos, the Greek myths retold by Stephen Fry.
2018.
Is he just too good? Is that the thing? Have you read all of these?
No, he's just going up and down the dates. So
I have read Mythos.
Oh,
well,
okay.
I'm not going to say I read it. I listened to it on audiobook because I could listen to Stephen Fry forever because he's amazing. But yeah, I'm going to say 2018.
There's a couple of right on the chat. There's a couple of right.
There's a couple that are right on the chat.
There's a few of them.
I can't see all of the chat.
Let's just have a guess.
So, 2015.
And what did you say, Chris?
2018.
It's 1 point to Christopher Hooley. So think about that then. It's very close. Okay, we're about halfway. Okay, Camino Island by John Grisham.
Yeah, 2018. I'm going to go again.
Okay.
So I think if you've gone 2018, I can't go 2018. I'll go 2017.
That is a point to Carolyn.
At least I one.
Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough.
I've literally just read this book. Oh, God. I'm going to say 2017 then. You've got to.
I'm going to go 2016.
Yeah, it's Christopher Hooley. There's no point playing now because you both actually nailed down the thing. It's 2017. So what we'll have to do is give the victory to Chris Hooley because he's demolished this round. But we'll just read out the last couple. And Sleeping Beauties by Stephen King. The Kinds of Truth by Michael Connelly. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. So that was 2017. And yeah, we had, who did we have? Dave. Dave had it. Well done, Dave. And he was the only one. And you had 2016, like 2015. And you had another stab at it, 2013. Very convinced 2015, but it was not. Vince just missed out 2016.
Some good books in there, though.
Yeah. Yeah, there are. But every single time we do this, there's always a Stephen King book in there. Always.
I mean, to be fair, he is prolific. Since, like, whenever he was born onwards.
Just from birth. Just continued. Okay, so how do I get that off the screen? I can't find it. Okay, so what we're going to do is wrap up the show because we've gone over an hour, but that's fine. Completely fine. More than happy to do that when we're having fun. So can we have a little bit of knowledge about where people can find your books and your website address if you know it? Please.
My website address?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah,
my website address is just my name, so it's www.carolynhobdey.com.
Excellent. And where can people find your book? Is it just on the website or can they find it on Amazon?
They can buy it on the website, but it's now available on Amazon. I think it's on Waterstones online. So yeah, it's on all the major places online.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
so
and it's on Monday, so it's available from them. You can pre-order it now.
Do you have any plans for the rest of the weekend? Apart from being a superstar on telly and on the radio.
So quite a bit of prepping in terms of Monday, but yeah, just making sure that the website is all, we're making a few tweaks and changes, but things like that. So trying to chill out a little bit, hopefully just to make sure I can look as good as I possibly can and get some sleep.
Anya says she wants to get these books. Yeah, I do too. And I actually genuinely, I think I might take up, especially Gratitude Diary. It's something I've thought of before. But me and Chris, what about some meditating?
Yeah, I mean, I could vlog it, I suppose. I don't think I'm going to be very good, but I'll give it a go.
Watch Chris's face like this. Yeah, it'd be great. Yeah, Vince says good luck. And thank you so much for coming on and joining us. It's been a fantastic show. And we're very grateful. And we wish you all the best with your books because they sound like they deserve all they can, the best they can have, and I hope your show goes well tomorrow, or your shows go well tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's been great to be on. So it's been really good. But thank you everybody for their chat and their questions. It's great.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
We will see you. Oh, you guys, Sunday. What to look forward to? We're starting the Plot Twist project you may have seen this on YouTube, and it's a community project. We're going to write a book as a community, and you can watch us do it, and I'll bring a guest on the show and show the screen of the document that we're going to work on together, and you can see us typing on that together. And all of your ideas come in, and we'll talk about it on the show, and we'll mix ideas together, and we'll create the project together. Really exciting. You can set a reminder on YouTube now, so you can see that go live 9 o'clock Sunday UK time. Come and join me and start the community project. It's going to be a lot of fun. So look forward to that, and other exciting things are coming as well. So keep an eye out. Thank you guys. We will see you on Sunday. Bye.
If you've ever had a twat in your life, grab Carolyn's book. You'll relate.
Excellent. Cheers, guys. Buy the book. Bye.
Bye.